Oh, I met another girl, Dad. I really think this is the one. Her name's Lois. It's her right there.
Welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, everybody. Last time we truly... I gotta walk it. I gotta get the mojo back. I haven't narrated in a few days. Hold on. Oh, my back. Oh, my and my crack. There we go. Okay. Welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. Last time we truly set our sights on the stars and things got real serious.
Jesus Christ, shut the f*** up! Nobody gives a shit! Okay, I'm out of here. You gotta keep talking like no, enough!
We achieved orbit around the Mun, dropped probes all over its surface, and made it pay for them too. That's right, people, we're starting today rich. And what, dear viewer, do you think the rich do? Comment now with your suggestion. That's right, they issue themselves government contracts to outcompete their competition. The contract this time is to put a Kerbal in orbit before this decade is up. Speaking of orbits, I'd like to start today by clearing out those 2 satellite launch contracts we picked up a little while ago. A quick redesign of the Tater 1 rocket would solve this. Whoops. Another quick redesign should solve this.
Snapping out of the time-lapse for a second here, I do just want to point out how this is going to work. So we've got this really elliptical orbit here that we've created, and that's a result of a bad launch. I didn't time it perfectly, and so we're about 10 degrees off the ideal inclination, or 9 degrees, even better than I'd hoped. So what we're going to do now is partway through this elliptical orbit, we are actually going to push our apoapsis up in space, like physically move its point in space that it will be at, from being down over here to over here. Now, of course, in space there is no up, but, you know, I gotta work with what I got here. Bottom of my screen, top of my screen, I am but a man, okay? Over here, what we're gonna do is move the apoapsis to be right over the periapsis of the desired orbit, and then at that point, we will do all the other delta V maneuvers required to shift the plane around, move it into space, and do everything else fancy. But this is step 1. I've never tried this before, so let's see if this works. It is a little aggressive even for a guy like me. Okay, let's do it and see if this works out. I have pretty low faith. Okay, descending node is now at -20, which is not surprising because we are now way out of inclination, but our apoapsis has arrived at the desired spot, which is super cool. So now we'll be able to do this, right, to flatten out that sort of inclination, and then hopefully add a ton of velocity. Okay, a highly aggressive maneuver, but it looks like this is actually going to work. So yeah, just getting that intercept with the desired orbit, and then having enough fuel to basically be sort of sloppy with it. We can kind of just dump all the energy we need to into this orbit to get it into the right orientation, which is kind of hilarious when you think about it. This is the equivalent of driving a semi-truck down a hill, right, at maximum speed, but you got a left turn coming up, so what you do is instead of, you know, hitting the left turn at a perfect gradual curve, conserving all momentum as possible, you just kind of ram through the edge of the road, through the mountainside, and then out the other side. And then arriving exactly at your destination. It's that sort of approach to problem solving. And that's the kind of energy I plan to bring to all things on this channel at some point. Okay, I think we might be close enough to finish that contract. Let's see. 3, 2, 1. Done. Very nice. Okay. Oh, that was a little tougher than expected. That was a little tougher than expected. And there's our 2 relays. We got the B Cleary was the first one, and this one here is the Edge Durha. And these shall both be just relays. Since we're sending them all the way out here, I figured we might as well make them do something for us. And these will just be really short-range relays to use around the Kerbal system. In fact, let's point them at Kerbin. They should have enough juice that this won't be a problem. There we go.
We also got some quick contracts to pull science from our assorted spacecraft. With a ton of cash in one hand and a handful of relays in the other, we're ready to start blowing up some launching some crude missions. Yes. Speaking of which, the vile union heads at the Representation of Unemployees movement, or RUM,
Why is the rum always rum?
requested that we assign the names of our new unemployees in a slightly more transparent manner. This means it's time to spin that wheel, baby, yeah!
99% of gamblers switch before they hit the jackpot.
Quite a few of you made the rather sensible argument that we do need a better way of giving out these names. It's kind of becoming impossible, actually, to track the different missions with all the different names going on, so we're pivoting, okay? We're pivoting. Thank you to those of you who have given your lives in service already, but we are going to pivot. From now on, we're naming the Kerbals. Okay, the Kerbals are getting named after the viewers. That's the way we're doing it. Otherwise, I'm going to lose my mind trying to keep track of which mission even does what. Especially as we start having, like, a couple dozen of them running concurrently when we go out to different planets, because it takes a really long time to get out there. So, which will be the first Kerbin? Let's go ahead and spin that wheel, baby. Oh, and we've got Javier Olazaran. Okay, well, Olazaran no longer. You are now Javier Kerman. Okay, well, welcome to the French-Spanish colony of the KSC. All right, spin it again. Dr. Wand. Oh, that's perfect. Dr. Wand Kerman. That works perfectly for a guy like me. I'm going to take creative license with the naming here. I hope you all mind very much because I don't care. Baba Ganoush Kerman up next. Baba Ganoush Kerman. Welcome to the squad. And Ada Kerman. Welcome to the team.
For now, we'll constrain the Kerbal naming list to all members of the average hair enjoyer tier and above. But vessel names are fair game for all channel members, regardless of their tier. If your name has already been picked and you'd like to rename your vessel, just drop a comment below and use the format name:XXX for whatever you'd like to name it. If you're a channel member that hasn't been picked yet and would like to name a future ship, then drop a comment below with your suggestion. I think it makes sense to give first dibs to people that are actually watching this series, don't you? You know, one of these days, I will think of this stuff before I start recording, but it sure isn't gonna be today. And since we're doing a bit of housekeeping, remember to sign up to our court-mandated community Discord server. You'll find a link down in the description. The lovely people over there were even nice enough to bullying me into actually activating the shaders I've included on the mod list. How kind.
And there you go, our 4 intrepid Kerbinauts. Yes, Javier Kerman, Dr. Wand Kerman, Baba Ganoush Kerman, and of course Ada Kerman, ready to tackle the stars. And man, the stars are sure looking a whole lot better. I have finally remembered to enable the shaders that I installed at the start of this playthrough. That's 6 hours of just default KSP. Doesn't that look so much better? Look at it. Hold on, turn off all of this gobbledygook. Everything's gone. Wait, give me a second here. I can just disable everything. Turn off ComNet. Look at it. Look at it in all of its glory. Man, it really is just something pristine, isn't it? That is a beautiful planet. It truly is. We can even watch it. We can look and slowly rotate. Oh, gorgeous. And Kerman's not alone in the overhaul. Anything with an atmosphere is going to look a lot better. Eve is my personal favorite. I think it just looks absolutely phenomenal. Look at that beautiful pink glow. And they've all got, what's it called? The Aurealis. The Aurora around the poles. North and south, both planets do. Any planet with a magnetic field should have one, which means, if I'm not mistaken, Duna shouldn't, right? I don't know if Duna has a magnetic field in the Kerbal world. I guess it does. Okay, I guess everybody gets a magnetic field, Oprah style, but doesn't that just look incredible? That beautiful orange glow. Now, of course, no atmosphere means no scattering, so nothing for you, poor little Gilly. Or was it Ike? Sorry, Ike. Gilly's the other one. This still looks pretty good, though, if you ask me. Little smatterings of clouds floating around. And if we head all the way out to Jewel, take another peek at our destination for this series. You see, Jewel has had quite the overhaul as well. Gorgeous banding in the clouds there. And if we're lucky, we might just be able to snatch it. There it is. Our destination. How does Lathe look, out of interest? Absolutely phenomenal. That's how it looks. Absolutely gorgeous.
Man, doesn't that just look incredible? Let's go up there and touch it. But first, science.
We've also got a little bit to spend here. If we're going to be sending Kerbals up top, let's decide what we need. Now, advanced construction would be nice, as it gives us access to the universal joint socket over here. This comes from Kerbal Attachment System. Fantastic mod that lets you build stuff in space, along with Kerbal Inventory System. They go together, and we get docking ports. Docking ports are good. Another command seat wouldn't hurt. This is interesting. This is the Ica is like another rover that we would get access to. Material processing units is pretty awesome, so we could do some refining. Oh, we could start considering a base up in space, or maybe a base up on the moon. I think it's a no-brainer to pick up advanced construction. Now, we actually cannot get the next tier, even if we had enough science, which we do, because our research center isn't upgraded enough, so that's not going to work. But I will get the fuel systems so that we can build more sort of complex rockets. And I think I'm tempted to get propulsion systems, just so that we've got the side-mounted engines. They are really, really handy for manned landings. But I think maybe simple command modules might be even better. Maybe we'll sit on that till we go to space. Oh, you know what? EVA experiments. That's what we're getting. And in fact, I'd love for my astronauts to be able to do EVAs, so let's go ahead and upgrade the Kerbal complex. We can't do it without them. Okay, Wheel of Names. What will this next mission be? The very first Kerbal mission to orbit. It's gonna be called... oh no. The Tee-hee. It's perfect. Okay, and we're gonna be taking Ada Kerman. That's right, she's gonna be the first Kerbanaut to fly a vessel into space. Alongside Baba Ganoush. No, let's take Dr. Wand Kerman. We do have some science experiments. We can reset them. Although, you know what? We'll do a dedicated scientific mission. Let's get our pilots some experience. Ada and Baba Ganoush Kerman. What a phenomenal lineup on the score sheet for today. My god, that looks incredible. Launch in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift off. And it's about time that we get ourselves to some daylight, I think, and then have a whole lot of fun. In fact, why don't we do it from the perspective of our beautiful Kerbals? Look at them through their tiny little viewfinder, witnessing the true majesty of creation. And, believe it or not, we accidentally just stranded them in space. Oh. Oh no. Well, they're stuck up here right now. We have successfully orbited Kerbin, at the very least, and there goes our fuel. We could just get out and push. Okay, face ourselves prograde. No, that way. Retrograde. And then Ada's gonna have to get out and push. I think I hit spacebar because I was trying to leave the seat, which is not advisable. But we are reducing our orbital velocity. You know, at this rate, we might even actually clip the atmosphere. It might be possible. Yep. Ada's getting out and pushing. Listen, this is prime Kerbal tradition, okay? Nothing whatsoever has gone wrong. This is exactly how it's supposed to play out. We do a world first first spacewalk. Very cool. Okay, Ada, hop back in, would ya? Baba Ganoush, let's get you out there. Your turn to push. Okay, we are below the atmospheric line. This is very important. I think we might actually survive this. The bar is low, but I don't revert flights unless I've like built it wrong. Listen, we're doing this the hard way, okay? Okay, let's go ahead and close up all our doors. We're about to get to atmospheric re-entry here, and I want to orient ourselves for exactly that. Oh, nice. We have landed. Okay, lovely. And where is our other stage? This is it is quickly dropping above our heads. Ada, you need to be getting up here. You need to be getting up, and we need to get Baba Ganoush out of there too. Okay, run away, 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 run away. Ada. Run. Oh, she's fine. Fine, perfect miss. Very nice. 147 more science plus a little bit of cash. That's right, we got another milestone, which is the return to surface from orbit, which is super cool. But the real benefit to having actually orbited this planet with a person is that we now get the MUN program, which is ludicrously lucrative. 400% gains to milestones for the MUN, which is insane, as well as Minmus. We can do both. I'm going to do the MUN first. We're going to plant a flag on the MUN before this decade is out. All right, if we're going to do anything, we're going to need a landing pod. And man, I gotta say, Umbra Space Industries just coming in clutch once again. Also, probably RCS thrusters is a good idea. Yeah, I think definitely RCS thrusters. Maybe landing would have been a good thing to get to, but you know what? Here we are.
With our first successful Kerbal orbit out of the way, our next steps were pretty clear. It was time to rip off the Apollo program in its entirety, which, naturally, means first ripping off Gemini. Baba Ganoush Kerman and Dr. Wan were strapped into the hastily refitted TE-1 rocket and rolled out onto the launch pad. What has this channel become? Oh my god. I can do this, hold on. Baba Ganoush Kerman and Dr. Wan were strapped into a hastily refitted TE-1 rocket and rolled out onto the launch pad. I can't do this. Their mission, under our new science limiting rule set, was to field test all of the experiments we'd unlocked so far to get the absolute maximum science possible out of each future launch. Okay, as the old Long John Silver here, well actually it's the TE2, gets us into a very comfortable little Kerbal orbit, I can notice that I did not I did not bring an antenna on this ship. I'm knocking it out of the park today, man. There we go, I guess we did something. We're in space near Kerbal, and we've collected a whole bunch of samples. That's the Auto Science mod, which I absolutely adore. It is called For Science with an exclamation mark. That is what it is. Okay, there we go. We have a nice little apoapsis periapsis situation going on here. Very cool, very cool. I'm actually going to move that decoupling stage all the way to the end so I don't accidentally decouple my ship again. And why don't we go ahead and stage this out? There we go. The protective shell can bounce away and we can reveal the cool stuff we've kept within. So I'm going to extend my solar panels. We're going to put all of those out. There we go. I forgot to action group any of this. Can you tell how quickly this mission was put together? Maybe thrown together is the correct terminology. And we can go ahead and deploy the primary base as well. Okay, lovely. All right, Dr. Wand, hop out of the ship because you got some work to do, bud. All right, and what we basically want to do here is not disassemble the parts, not yet anyway. We want to just kind of keep the data, take the data. That's the plan, you know, log the data, take the data. And a lot of this has already been stowed in the main ship. As you can see there, we've already done it all. I just want to go around and make sure we can reset our various parts, that we're getting all the information we want to get. We can check the eggs, of course. I would love to check the Kraken eggs in the old incubator there. Look at that, we got some eggs. 10 science for eggs in space. You'll love to see it. All right, now, is there any chance whatsoever, I could ditch this? I was able to swap them. That doesn't quite do what I'm trying to do here. No, it doesn't look like I can get rid of those. Okay, cool. Well, that's just my mistake. I gotta learn. I gotta have an empty slot in an inventory somewhere, or at least like maybe a cargo container that I can work with. Now, I want to know what happens if I click disassemble part. I have received 5 units of material kits were lost. Interesting. Okay, so this is the Kerbal construction mod. Is that what it is? Or extraplanetary launch pads, maybe? I'm not sure. If I disassemble this part? Okay, so we're cycling it into material kits, and those material kits are being destroyed because we don't have anywhere to put it. I understand. I am supposed to have to be concerned with life support, which I don't seem to be at present. Why don't my Kerbals need life support? Am I crazy? Have I not enabled that? I might not have enabled that. Yeah, I don't appear to have life support. Okay, that's on me. We need to be playing with life support. That was a big part of the challenge of this series. So, no life support, big problem. We're gonna deorbit this vessel and get the life support mod installed, and probably next time, I suppose, we'll figure out how that all goes. So let's line this up, because I'm not going to the moon without life support. I want the challenge of it. I love the challenge of it, and we'll probably use USI's life support mod just for the fun of it. My God, 350 science. Yeah, that's gonna take us to the next phase, that's for sure. Very good indeed. And that was mostly just sort of like the cheap stuff up in orbit. Yeah, that's nice. That's real nice. And we're pretty close to being able to upload this. If I upgrade this now, we won't be able to launch any other missions. So I think what we do is we clean out the lower tech tree here, and we use this to get to the moon. I think we can do. We got life support containers. Look at that. Look at that. Fertilizer, mulch, supplies. They didn't seem to need any supplies. Does the vessel have supplies? It does not. Huh. Yeah. I think I'd like the supplies. But yes, let's get all of the basic research unlocked. We're going to want all of it at some point anyway, especially some heavy lift rockets, some more efficient sustainer engines, which is really nice. I'm a big fan of the Skipper. It's a really, really good little sort of like early game big booster. Little early game big booster. Great English, largely unemployed. Fantastic. 10 out of 10. Now, stabilized flight is phenomenal. This gives us better RCS thrusters and control modules, but I think landing, if the plan here is to eventually land on the moon, it's kind of a must get. Okay, this is very interesting. We also have a contract on offer to find a Munstone. for 100k. That's pretty spicy. Apparently they can be found in the Midlands, the Northwest Crater, or the Far Side Crater. I mean, that's a no-brainer, right? Like, we have to land. Also, if we need Kerbals, we can save them, which is a good thing, because astronauts are not cheap. I think they scale very quickly. We can bulk hire. We can get 8 for $500,000, which we could do. I mean, if we need a Kerbal, we could do it. By the way, for the channel members of higher tiers, average hair enjoyer and above, if you would like to spec your Kerbal, like, because right now we've got the 4 standard ones. If you'd like to spec your specific Kerbal, please go ahead and do so in the comments, and I'll make sure to note it on our name spreadsheet, and when we do go to rename you, to name a Kerbal after you, and we will need a lot of these going forward, probably not for a couple episodes, but soon, we'll make sure to give you the correct combination. So there are all the different professions, and then male and female. So please go ahead and choose your favorite. Anyway, I need to now design a Munlander to land on the Midlands. Yeah, so we're going to take crew, we're going to orbit the moon first. We won't go flyby and then land. We'll orbit first, we will hit a landing, and then we will put down a flag, pick up a rock, and fly back home. Okay, that's the mission profile here. It's gonna be, ooh, Foxtrot. That is actually a usable name. Congratulations, Foxtrot, for not having complete garbage. That's a username. I'm kidding. I love you guys. It's great. The Foxtrot mission would be sent up in 2 parts, a command module and a lander. Not because this is in any way necessary, but because ripping off the Apollo missions is a statutory requirement for each and every single KSP playthrough. And now, for something completely different. Hell yeah, dude! Do you want more of those? You want more of those? Subscribe! This is a threat. Magic, put the gun on him. Subscribe, now! Click the button. We're done asking. One near identical launch later, and Foxtrot 2 was in a matching orbit. Now, to make them kiss. Mwah! 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 Oh, mon petit chéri! Switching scenes back to Foxtrot 1 here for a second, I think we'll do the orbital rendezvous with this ship, just because Baba Ganoush Kerman actually has a little bit more control systems available to him than the basic probes we have access to do. Now, I should probably ditch the giant fuel tank. I think it's kind of in our way here. It's going to make maneuvering very difficult because we have to lug all this weight around. But I was stupid and did not include a probe control core here. I was planning to land this and make it reusable. These are expensive, and I didn't do a very good job of doing that. So, oh well. Anyway, what we're going to do now is try and set up an orbital rendezvous. So what we want to do is we've selected Foxtrot 2 as our target. If you left click on it, you can just sort of set it like that. And what we're going to try and do is try and get these little arrows here, these little chevrons to line up. So right now, Intersect 2 is 1,315 kilometers away. Intersect 1 is 1,316 kilometers away. And that's because the orbits that we share with Foxtrot 2 is very similar. Now, there is some slight variation, which means that we will eventually drift out of our relative sort of synchronization with each other here. And what I can do to simulate that is I can click skip forward on orbit a few times, and you'll see that eventually we can get those intersects really, really close, but it is gonna take like 3 days. It's not really ideal. So we can accelerate that. We can go way more aggressive with it. And what we can try and do instead is to nudge the shape of our orbit so that we can force that intercept a little bit sooner. Now this does cost fuel, but because I've got that giant fuel tank, this is actually something I have to spare. So what we're going to do is we're going to slightly raise our apoapsis. This is going to allow us to go a little bit slower and allow them to catch up with our position in the orbit. And then what we'll do is we'll drop it down afterwards, bring our orbit to sort of an intersection point, and then we'll have to flip around and burn at the last minute so that we can arrive. So we can sort of reduce our relative velocity upon arrival. So here we go. As you can see, I can speed that up. And there we go. Now we forcibly moved our intersect to 4 kilometers. And it's going to be on the next orbit. Not 3 days from now, but rather in like 30 minutes once we complete this next orbit. And in fact, we can move this in front of ourselves and then just tweak the orbit a little bit and save a little bit of fuel, actually. 7 meters per second. Haha. And that's going to bring us to 3.5 kilometers. Pretty cool. So all we'll have to do then is time warp until we get to this point. We'll have to point our engines a retrograde, slow down the orbit so that we are basically in an identical orbit to Foxtrot 2 in that moment. And then we can use the RCS thrusters to do the fine maneuvering to dock. So that's the basics of it. If that didn't make any sense, don't worry. A lot of the veterans of this game will tell you that Orbital Rendezvous is easy, and they are speaking from a place of relative privilege in that they've done it before. Orbital Rendezvous is hard, orbital mechanics are not intuitive, and you are not crazy or stupid for not understanding it on the first try. If you did understand it on the first try, well done, you've got a knack for this, and you're going to do pretty well at this game if you haven't played it before. Orbits, again, for those of you who aren't sure about this, are basically just falling towards the planet repeatedly and just missing forever. You're going so far sideways that you never actually manage to hit the ground. That's the basic premise here. So what we're doing is just nudging our freefall in such a way that it kind of lines up a little bit better with our friends. And we can actually get this rendezvous way closer if we just tweak some of these parameters here, and I don't see any reason not to. Alright, now if we get out of the map view and look around, we should see our target come into load range fairly soon. We're currently 23 kilometers away from us. It is closer to the planet than we are, so you'd think we'd be able to see it from here, but I guess not. We also definitely need to point ourselves retrograde so that we can slow down. Our target might not... there we go. It will show up on the reticle over there. Now, here comes the next step of Orbital Rendezvous. Once you've managed to line your orbits up, you've got to actually eliminate that relative velocity and get close enough to your target that you can actually dock without smashing into them, right? We don't want to collide. Well, we do want to collide. We just want to do so incredibly slowly. At least that's the dream, right? If we hit each other at, 272 meters per second, there might not be much left to write home about, that's for sure. So this is kind of the general premise. We've gone ahead and set our velocity vector to be target, and you can just do that just by left-clicking on the actual readout there. And now we can see that our retrograde is sort of offset from this pink icon, and that pink icon is the retrograde direction of the target. So basically what that means is the target is moving from the left to the right of our screen right now, and we are facing against it, which is why we're seeing the behind, the back, the rear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start burning, and we're going to start slowing down relative to the target. Now, I'm actually going to burn offset from the retrograde vector, and the reason I'm doing that is that there is a rather interesting thing you can do where you can see we're kind of pushing that velocity vector towards the target itself.
And the way this works, and this isn't the correct terminology, right? But it is sort of helpful in a sense. And we've actually overshot here. This is sort of helpful in a sense in that you can kind of control these velocity vectors by pushing and pulling them. You push the retrograde vector, as in if I go to the right of it here on the nav ball and burn my engines, it will move to the left. Whereas you pull the prograde vector, which is if you're facing in the same direction, meaning that if I were to sit on the left of it, it would move to the left. But here with the retrograde, if I sit on the right, it will move to the left. So they're sort of inverted. There we go. And so what we're doing right now is we are currently moving away from the target. That's what this means. We're moving away from the target at 20 meters per second. That's the front of the target. This is our direction, is away from it, right? So this pink dial means not the front, sorry, it means towards the target. And this green dial, this green node here means that we are currently moving away from the direction we're facing. So we are flying away from the direction that the target is in. However, if I were to point myself at said target and thrust forward ever so gently, I'm really trying not to add any sort of lateral velocity here because inertial dampeners don't exist in this universe yet. What we can do is flip it around, and now I'm moving towards the target at 0.7 meters per second. And what's happened to our orbit throughout all of that maneuvering is that we've come out of this really elliptical orbit and we've actually entered a super symmetrical one. So now, as you can see, I'm basically in the same orbit as Foxtrot 1. We have a very small distance between us. In fact, it might be small enough that we can actually start seeing them soon. And if I just burn towards them, we will actually move our intercept up on the map. Yeah, there we go. So our intercept's going to be 9 meters per second at 3 kilometers of separation in 3 minutes. So we really should see it come into view. I don't know why we aren't seeing it. It should be visible right now. Oh, I see it. I see just the tiniest little speck. So let's actually time warp forward. And there it arrives. Yes, dude. Okay, so now we have to do what I described, but we have to pull that prograde vector towards the direction of the target. Again, we are looking at what we're trying to get to, and now instead of burning straight at it, because that will actually cause a bit of a problem, we need to burn slightly to the side, because our velocity vector is offset from where it is, and we want to accelerate a little bit towards it. There we go. Our relative velocity is now 17 meters per second. That's a little too quick for comfort, and I think this is a good time as any to decouple. There we go. I'm currently pointing directly away from Foxtrot 2. I cannot see it in the skybox clutter. I love the skybox. Might have to change it just for that purpose. But if we come around, and it's pretty helpful to right-click control from here on that one, so that we are controlling from the clampetron, and that just means that the nose, quote-unquote, of the craft is exactly where our target is going to be pointing. And of course, we do also want to... there it is. No, that's the engine. Drifting off into the distance. Oh, no, there it is. There she is. Okay, so actually, you know what? This is a great opportunity to bust out the RCS. So I'm going to hit R, and we're going to use the... I think it's J, K, L, and I keys to translate ourselves laterally. So I don't have to turn the engine and burn. We just want to do small maneuvers. We want to nudge our velocity to be sort of directly in line with the other one. I want to right-click that crew hatch, set the crew hatch as the target so that we're pointing directly at each other. I'm going to do the same thing on this end, this ship, just to point at the target. There we go, pointing directly at one another. Okay, here we go, the lineup. Okay, so we're going to tap L to nudge that velocity vector to the left, tap I to nudge it down. Okay, we are now pointing straight at one another. Oh, and I can see him. I can see him approaching. Oh, God. Here we go. This is tense, man. One wrong move, and this is going to be a rather short flight. Permanently. Okay, we're almost there. We're just doing those last final adjustments. Come on, baby. Come on. Yes. Oh, here we go. Okay, 0.3 meters per second. That's totally safe docking velocity. Come on, come on. I feel like the Apollo astronauts just desperately watching the targeting reticle, hoping the damn thing's got the right readouts. Okay, okay. Put the RCS back on. Flip the switches. Oh, she's got a little bit too much thrust. Oh, here we go. 0.2 meters per second. This is fine. This is fine. Come on, baby. Come on. Come on. Vectors look good. Oh, I'm ready. RCS off. RCS off. Yep. Okay, we don't want to fight it. We don't want to fight it. SAS off. Give me docking. Come on, baby. Latch! Hey! Yes! Oh! That's what it's about. That right there. That is what it is all about. Oh, hell yes. Hell yes.
After that, it was just a matter of completing our Mooner transfer burn, zipping over there, and making ourselves at home in orbit. All that was left was the landing. But that's gonna have to wait until next time. Will we land on the Mun? Will we make it home? Will Bubba Ganoush Kermit and Dr. Wan finally give in to their most sordid desires? We'll just have to wait until next time to find out. If you'd like to skip the queue and watch the next episode already, it's available to all channel members right now. If that's not your speed, no worries. Thank you for being here. And remember to subscribe to let YouTube know that you want to see more of this. Either way, we'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Just click the button. It means nothing. Just click the button, but the validation is incredible. Please. Oh, largely unemployed needs you to click the button, please. Oh, my rheumatoid arthritis flares up when you don't click the button. Oh, it's stolen valor. I don't have any arthritis. I'm very healthy. Oh.
Hello, Facebook user. I'm famous YouTuber Max Mofo. I have over 10 million subscribers on the website, and I fully endorse this product. This is a fantastic product. You should buy it now. Forget the claims that it fully stops your heart from working. Those have been debunked by our best scientists. You still paying for this ad? Okay, yes, this is, it's top of the line. The link is down below. Click this ad and purchase this product.